This right here is a 14-inch, very premium Ultrabook from HP. This is the HP Pavilion. It's a 2023 model. I picked this up for a fantastic price on HP Canada directly. It was 1,050 Canadian dollars, which sits around 750 to 800 American dollars. So really good price for this laptop, especially when you consider what is actually inside of this laptop. It does come with dedicated graphics. It's not going to be a gaming powerhouse. It's only equipped with the RTX 2050. More geared towards professional acceleration. So if you're doing things like video editing, if you're doing things like rendering, this RTX graphics is going to be really nice because it's going to accelerate that workflow. Of course, you are able to game on RTX 2050. So at the end of the video, we will have a dedicated gaming section, as would be expected of my channel. This model here does have the 1355U variant. This one here is going to be a little bit better on battery life than the P variant. You are going to sacrifice a little bit of power, but considering it is such a thin little laptop, a lot of the times you don't necessarily want to have the P variants in there because you're going to run into some thermal issues. This one should, in theory, cool very well. And then you get a beautiful screen. This is an OLED screen, fine resolution, 1800p screen here, good color space, good color accuracy as well. So if you're looking at something that's going to be really, really portable, extremely premium, not going to break the bank, you can do some gaming on it, and it's going to be able to accelerate productivity tasks with that RTX graphics, good CPU, and a beautiful screen. This may be the one for you. Check the weight of the laptop here. So 1366, which is actually pretty light. It does have a little bit of a larger charger because it does have, dedicated graphics and that. So it is capable of, using some more power. So with the charger on it, 1806, so still pretty light. It's over 3 pounds with the charger, but without the charger, it's just about 3 pounds. First things first, it looks quite nice. Metal top there. Thin metal, but metal. I think it's by design, so it can be light. Bottom is actually metal as well. It feels like a thicker metal on the bottom. Could just be a sturdier part of it. Nice texture to it, nice look to it. Like very simplistic design, clean design. Quite cute kind of and light type thing. Doesn't look ultra hyper premium, but it does look pretty nice actually, all things considered. Left side there, we get a headphone jack at the very back. USB-A and micro SD card, so a little bit of that kind of leaning towards the creator focus of this laptop. Right side here is where you're going to get your USB-C, so you get dual USB-C. Actually, you get an HDMI on this, so despite the fact being a thin little boy, you get an HDMI, which is important because it does again have dedicated graphics. And then you get another USB-A, so 2 USB-A, 2 USB-C, HDMI, micro SD card, and headphone jack. Nothing on the back there except the Pavilion, which looks nice and clean. It's not, there are glossier screens out there, but it's also, there are less glossy screens out there. It's OLED, so that's part of the reason why. Metal interior here, that looks nice. Nice kind of cut design on the trackpad there. Looks pretty good. Thin bezels on it overall. The kind of the light style keyboard overall. So here's a look inside the laptop. Not gigantic speakers on it. It has 2 little speakers. They do claim to be tuned by Bang & Olufsen. So I don't know if that means they're any good, but they are there, and they're kind of small, but that should be okay. So 50 watt-hour battery, which is pretty good for such a thin laptop. A tiny little guy is going to have 50 watt-hour battery. Couldn't really get much more. You'd have to take out some of the other stuff to get that in there. Upgradability is pretty minimal on this laptop. However, you can see there's a 2280 SSD, so that can obviously be upgraded. No problems there whatsoever. Nothing over here that you can upgrade. The RAM is soldered to the motherboard, so there's no upgradable RAM underneath. There's the RAM over there. Basically, that's going to be soldered, so you can't upgrade it. So this has 16 gigabytes. It has 16 gigabytes. It is what it is. In terms of actual upgradability, 2280 NVMe single port for that, but you can upgrade that, of course. And then you do have your Wi-Fi that is upgradable here. This is decent Wi-Fi, Intel AX211, so that's really good Wi-Fi actually, so you can upgrade that if need be, but it's good Wi-Fi, so you probably don't want to. Dual fan, because there is going to be a CPU and a GPU in this. This here has an RTX 2050, and then it also has the 1335U processor, so you're going to be getting both of those options here. So you have the dedicated graphics and the integrated graphics, probably 1 and 2. Space like that would be my guess there. Dual heat pipe and dual fan. Neither of them run overly hot. The 1335U is a relatively cool CPU, and the 2050 in here also doesn't run very hot. So it should run fairly cool despite the fact that it only has a dual heat pipe because it has 2 fans on it. The inside looks nice and tight. Overall pretty good with minimal upgradability, unfortunately. Okay, let's test the audio now and see how it sounds. Okay, I'm going to turn it up. Go 100%. Okay, yeah, so the audio is quite good actually. It's fairly loud, I would say. It gets about 80 dB or so, 81. But this is a very thin laptop here, and the sound is great actually. It's not going to rival like a MacBook or a big monstrous creator laptop, but it's actually quite good, I would say. I'm actually leaving some lights on so you can see the reflectivity intentionally. It's not too bad. The camera, as always, is not doing it justice. My cameras always freak out with OLEDs. It's just the way that it is. Let me see if I zoom in a bit here. Yeah, it just struggles with OLEDs. I don't know, because I guess the contrast ratio is so high on the dark parts. It always comes across as muted and dim, but I'll do my best. But I mean, yeah, so the reds are incredibly vibrant here. The screen is actually pretty bright too. Very vibrant. The blues are, it might be oversaturated maybe, or maybe it's just, I've been using IPS for the last couple weeks here. Yeah, it's a beautiful screen. My cameras can't do it justice. It's just the way that it is. I mean, they're cameras. They have a limited ability to capture colors and light and stuff. To my eyes, though, it is a beautiful, beautiful screen. Very, very vibrant. Leaning towards the saturated, I would say. Very nice. Obviously, the blacks are perfect. You can see up here, it's an OLED. So when a screen is black, the pixels off. So you get absolute blacks. Graphic design, this type of thing. YouTube, whatever it is that you do. It's obviously geared towards that with the accelerated studio graphics, the OLED screen, the bright, fine resolution and all that too. So it's definitely a creator type laptop, and the screen does that justice. It is a beautiful screen. So the keyboard and trackpad, it says that it has light up keys, but I don't. Oh, there it is. Okay. So there's the light up keys. It's not like RGB, it's just light up keys. And of course you can dim it. Oh, you just press it. So max, medium, off, max, medium, off. I actually prefer that to RGB. One of the advantages of RGB is you can change the color. So typically I go with a static color, and rather than making it like a piercing white, I would make it like purple or something. This is a little bit hard to see at night. Like if you're actually, you can see there, like even in this where I have the shadow on it, you can barely see the light up keys. It works at night. In the day, it doesn't really do anything. Like I literally can't tell that they're on, other than I can see under that lip there. But at night, you can see that they're on. This is, I think, the Omen launcher. Yeah, that's the Omen launcher there. Yeah, it's fine. No complaints. Just generic laptop keyboard. Snappy enough. Travel is good. Like it has decent enough keycaps, and even with that, very minimal keyboard flex. Like I have to really press. If you're actually typing, there is actually zero keyboard flex because it's a metal chassis. So that's part of it as well. It feels quite nice to type on. Yeah, I would definitely say no problems with that. There's definitely better keyboards out there, but there is many, many, many worse keyboards out there. So I would actually give this a pretty good rating. I like the keyboard quite a bit. It feels quite nice. Trackpad is pretty good. It's relatively large, actually. I mean, how much bigger could you make a trackpad? You would have to like physically make something else smaller. And it's nice and smooth. It's not a glass trackpad, it's a plastic trackpad, but like this is smooth and it feels nice and smooth, very precise. Trackpads are kind of like, they're all kind of good these days. So, I mean, it is what it is. The click is nice though. Feels pretty good. And it's got this nice little metal accent. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but it's like a cut. They actually cut the aluminum and left it kind of bare, so you get a little bit of reflectivity there. Okay, you can see in here it does have DGPU mode and hybrid mode because it does have dedicated graphics. Interesting that it has this. A lot of times creator laptops don't actually have a proper switch. So you can come in here and you can go hybrid, which will favor, it'll switch between discrete versus non-discrete. So if you're doing low demanding tasks, you'll be basically using your iGPU on that Intel, which is more than enough for just day-to-day stuff. And then when you're gaming, it'll switch over to discrete 2050. If you're doing pure gaming tests and you want max performance, you can always just go to discrete. Just allows a little bit more power going into that discrete graphics. You might get a little bit more performance out of it. Okay, so in here, this is normally where you'd find Advanced Optimus and this Windows 95 era interface that NVIDIA still uses. It looks like it doesn't have Advanced Optimus. You normally want to leave it on hybrid mode, and then Advanced Optimus will or will not appear. We don't have that. So this does not have Advanced Optimus. So typically you're just going to leave this laptop on hybrid mode. I mean, you're probably not using this for heavy gaming tasks. You will get the tiniest bit more performance if you disable the integrated graphics and go pure dedicated when it comes to gaming, but typically, I mean, you're going to be using this in a hybrid type use and you're going to be fine. You'll see I've already done some game testing on this just to make sure that everything was working fine before I do my review. Just basically loaded up some games on that and just made sure they worked. And they did. So, I mean, you're going to be fine with it on hybrid mode. When I do my game testing, though, and record it, I will put it into dedicated mode just for the sake of that. But that's something to be aware of. So another thing you can do is you can hit this little Omni button here and it'll pop up. You can get that gaming hub 1 if you care about that. My HP, which is the one that I was just talking about. And then there's this command center, which I just clicked on. And then it gives you balanced, performance, and power saving. Let's go with performance. I think I had balanced before by accident. I don't think there's a hotkey to quick change that, which is interesting. Here's just a look at the noise. I'm on max performance, everything. So 45. So you can hear the fans when it's absolutely going at max, but it's actually like a very nice low fan noise. No pitchiness whatsoever, basically just movement of air. So yeah, I mean, the cooling solution on this is easily up to the task of, you know, keeping it relatively cool without having to have the fans absolutely ripping. Now we'll have a look at some benchmarks here. So we have the Cinebench run here done on the 1355U. Got a pretty good score here, 9,322. That's actually very good on Cinebench here. Temperatures on the right here look actually very good. We're sitting at, you know, as a peak, it did get up to 90 very briefly, but the average is in the 80s. That's basically, you know, the fans just kicked up and it cooled down a fair bit. Time Spy here, you know, we're getting not the greatest GPU scores, but again, this is just a super low wattage 2050. So this is going to be sitting around what I get on my Lenovo Legion Go handheld or my ROG Ally. So obviously very capable of gaming. Wi-Fi here is good, not blazing speeds, but I get around 600 megabytes a second or so. And so, you know, this is about what I normally get. Battery life here is overall pretty decent here. This is the idle and we're getting about 5 hours or so. It says in the windows on the right there. If you actually look at the battery life, discharge is about -9, -9.25, which is pretty good for an OLED laptop at such a fine resolution. And then here we went into some YouTube, which is interesting. It was roughly the same, basically the same when we were looking at YouTube here. So, you know, it's more, I think, the screen that's drawing a little bit of the power there. That very high resolution OLED screen is going to draw a little bit of power even when you have the DGPU disabled. So the battery life overall is decent, not staggering, but decent for sure. And here's a look at the built-in webcam. See here, it actually looks. There's a thing that popped up in the bottom corner, and it said something about enhancing the lighting. I don't know if it's actually doing that or not, but this is a really nice looking webcam. It has a lot of contrast. This is a bright red shirt. Not a lot of the times these webcams will basically very much wash me out and I become like super pale, like weirdly pale, and even these colors would be washed out. Good range on it, really good polling rate. I mean, it's a professional creator kind of business style laptop, but good webcams are not guaranteed. A lot of the times you get really bad webcams on these laptops. So this is a very good webcam. I'm actually quite happy with it. We'll have to see how the microphone sounds, but the webcam itself is actually quite nice. Very nice, actually. Okay, so we're going to try some Baldurs Gate here. We're going to start with native resolution, which is very high, 1800p. That's above 1440p. It's above 1600p. That's, you know, between 1440p and 4K. So, like, don't be surprised if this doesn't run well. Performance, DLSS, and we're just on medium. So actually, it's running better than I thought with performance DLSS on medium. I was expecting it to sit at like 20 FPS. This is a brutal area. These NPCs loading in will actually really tax the system. You know, when we go to areas that aren't as NPC heavy, like, you know, indoors, places like this, the FPS you can see go up quite a bit, and we are here. It's just that the 2050 is, you know, basically cut down in terms of memory bandwidth, and so it can be a fair bit slower. And the other thing is, you know, this is not a high watt variant. This is under 30 watts most of the time. You can see there it's sitting about 30 watts for that GPU there. So it's not like it's a high wattage variant of the 2050. Which is based on the 3050. Those things can go up to like, you know, over like 100 watts, I think, or so. Yeah, and so now we're in an indoor area, you know, not the most demanding area in the game like Baldur's Gate itself. Wow, that's way better than I thought. It's going up and down, but I mean, we're up to like 60. When we pan around, we're going to drop down to like 40. What I would probably do in this game is actually set an FPS cap, so it's not going up and down and up and down. I'd probably set an FPS cap at like 40, because you can see here we're at like 90 right now. That's a lot of frames. But then when we start panning like crazy, it's going to drop down. So normally what I do in terms of playability, I just set an FPS cap. You know, All right, now we're in Starfield here, another very demanding title. You can see here that I'm just going for the demanding stuff because if it can run these games, obviously it can run easier games. And no dynamic resolution scaling. So we'll just see how that looks like that. Basically balanced DLSS on low at 1200p. Should be fine, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, so basically what you're going to see here is it runs Starfield. Starfield is very demanding. So, if you can run this and Baldur's Gate, they're both very demanding games. You're going to be able to play. You're not going to get 75 to 155 FPS in these titles. Like, that's not... This is a 30 watt 2050 in a Ultrabook laptop. But you can see here, you're going to get great lows, 20 lows versus 32 on the average. So it's going to be extremely playable. It'll be the same experience, basically, as you're going to get on a Series X or a PS5 or whatever, whatever console, Series X. It's going to be the same type of experience as that, which is, those are locked to 30. So technically, we're actually exceeding it. It's a lower resolution, but... Yep, if you just want to play casual, it's a hybrid type laptop leaning more towards creators and that, but, it does have the, accelerated graphics. So if you do want to do some accelerated graphic tasks like gaming, you're going to be totally fine. So what do I think about this HP laptop with this beautiful OLED screen, nice thin Ultrabook here? I think it's actually very, very nice. Surprise, surprise. Overall, it's very nice. It's a very premium feeling laptop, all metal, extremely portable. It's hard to always show these things on camera, but this is a very thin and light portable laptop. But because it's all metal, it does feel, nice and sturdy, very premium. There's no deck flex, no creak to it or anything like that. So it does feel like a very premium laptop overall. The specs and everything are actually quite nice as well. Beautiful OLED screen. Obviously, that's a big selling feature here is that beautiful OLED screen there. Does not disappoint whatsoever. Other aspects of it as well, it has a really, really nice, really good audio as well. Nice keyboard, nice trackpad, everything. So, the build quality and the actual usability, everything about the laptop in that sense is actually quite nice. I really like that aspect of the laptop. The actual performance is quite good too. It has a i5-155U, so it's not some monster powerhouse CPU, but it's still very capable. And then the graphics in here are great. Obviously the 2050 in here is geared towards accelerating, professional workloads, video editing, that kind of stuff, graphic design. And then you, of course, can do gaming on them as well. I already showed that in the video. So overall, I think it's a really nice laptop. I got it for a fantastic price. Like I said earlier, it was around 1,000-ish Canadian dollars, maybe slightly more. Probably about 780 US, 800 US, like all in basically. So that's fantastic for what it is. The OLED screen, the overall specs of it, dedicated graphics, premium design. So I think at the price I paid is actually, kind of a steal, to be honest. Very, very good price for it. These can get pretty expensive. They can get up to like 1,700 Canadian when they're not on sale, which is, 1,300 American, 1,400 American. That's a little much. It's still a good buy, to be honest. It's because it's a very nice laptop. So if you're buying it, it's not like you're throwing your money away and getting some garbage. It is a nice laptop. But I think, you could probably look for sales. HP does have sales from time to time. There's not really anything that's amiss on the laptop. It's just going to come down to, can you get it for a good price? And if you can, then I think it's actually a very solid buy overall.